How about you go inside? Kids, don't you have PlayStation or Xbox to play with? Why do you have to mow the lawn? Why? I can't film with him mowing. I can't. It'll drive me nuts in the edit. You guys only have to watch these videos once. I watch them 6, 7 times, and little things drive me nuts. So it's been, Peanut, get out of the trash. Wow, there's some good treats in there. So it's been a few days, and I have finished figuring all the numbers out. I figured that last piece I wanted to. Still need to figure 2 more out, but I'll do those in a little bit. That kid's just gonna run over whatever he wants to with the lawnmower. It doesn't matter. Empty propane container, whatever. And also because it was raining, I couldn't cut all those pieces out here. So I went and finished the other side of these boards. So both sides have 1 coat on it. I'll probably do another coat after I cut them and get them all ready. I'll clean them with some mineral spirits, and I'll throw in some more General Finishes High Performance top coat. But that day I was going to end up losing like a whole bunch of time where I could film something, so I made a Just For You video. That's over on my Patreon page. That cabinet that I said with the range vent, I said I wasn't going to film it. I'm going to film it, but it'll just be a Just For You video. And there's already a 25-minute long video on Patreon. No, 24 and 30 seconds. I cut out a couple things because it was really inappropriate. But if you like my videos and you want to help support this channel, check my Patreon page out. Link's going to be in the top of the description below. Don't mean to beg. I mean, if you don't want to, it's okay. It's okay. But if you are any type of YouTube consumer, you're aware that YouTube sucks. Big ones. YouTube is dying. It's dead. But what was good about doing that project is I got to work with this wood, figure out how to cut it. So first thing I'm going to do is cut all these to the length, and then I'm going to rip them. These were ripped at 24 inches at the lumber mill. Not 24 because they're 4 feet. When you rip it, the kerf takes a little off. Just if that doesn't make sense to you, then nothing ever will. Okay, so I need 3. These are the 24 pieces. There's 22 1/4 they'll get ripped at. So I need 3 at 34 1/4. I'm going to mark here, and I'm going to mark here. I'm going to take some blue painter's tape, put it on there, put it on there, and force it in. This is going to help when I do my cut. I'm going to have to cut this with a circular saw, and I noticed when I cut with this, I was getting a lot of tear out on the back end of this cut. So hopefully this will prevent a lot of tear out. So I'm going to mark this 34 1/4 again on top of the blue painter's tape. I'm going to take a framing square, hold it flush on both ends, make sure I'm good on my marks. I'm going to kind of, if it's not perfect here, I'm going to favor these 2 lines that I got. But it is pretty close. I'd say it's within a 32nd. I'm going to set the depth of the saw to 3/4 of an inch. Now we got to figure out how to cut this. That worked out really well. You know what? I could take a utility knife and cut it, and that'll really prevent any tear out, but 99% of this won't be seen. So I like that perfectly square edge, or that factory edge that's on it. So I want to use that. So instead of hooking on here and marking another 34 1/4, I'm going to hook on here and pull it this way, and I'll end up with this as a scrap piece with 2 cuts on it. I can always go back and recut these. I mean, that was a pretty straight cut, but I can make it a little bit nicer if I do what I just explained. So that's basically how I'm going to cut these things to the length. I would like to use this saw to make those cuts, but it's not big enough. I mean, if I had one of them, I can't think of it, radial arm saws, then yeah, it would be great. But those, they don't make them anymore. They might, but not going to spend $1,000 on one. So I'm just going to finish cutting these, and then we'll jump back into it and we'll do all the ripping. I'll show you how to rip one piece. It's just real hard to film. Where you're sitting right now is probably the stupidest spot I've ever put the camera. So I'm going to put you in a safe place. So when you're cutting wood against the grain like I was just doing, that's when you're going to have the tear out. When you're ripping a board, you're less likely to have the tear out. I'm not saying you're not going to have tear out, but you're less likely to because you're cutting with the grain. So I'm not going to tape these unless I see a significant amount of tear out. Now I set my rip fence up and the blade to the proper height, and I've got an outfeed table set up here. Pretty ghetto over here, but I'm ready to go and it works. I already tested it. Whenever I'm ripping anything, I'm always looking here and here, making sure that this point is tight on both of these. I do look at the blade every once in a while, but by looking here, you're going to end up with a better cut, a straighter cut. That guy did such a good job, I don't even know which one's factory, and his cut almost looks better than the factory. So we'll use it. So there is one of 3 pieces that I need. So next up I'm gonna do the pocket holes, but I got a lot of ripping to do. I'm building all these in the middle of these shots. You don't even know. You can't even tell. Everything is happening. If you do want more behind the scenes on this build, I would check out the Patreon page. I don't mean to be plugging it left and right, but I kind of feel less obligated to put up good content on Patreon, if that makes any sense. Less obligated to put up good content. Yeah, like I put up more shittier videos, I like to think. They're more behind the scenes type things. More of me rambling on and putting my opinion into shit. But yeah, I would recommend going and checking those out if you are so inclined. But don't do it if you are not inclined to. Just do. Oh, I'm gonna fall over. Am I already drunk? I shouldn't be. So I also did some more research on the toe kick, and it's 4 inches high, 3.5 inches deep. Now those are not like a code or standard, but they said not go anything less than 3 and 3. So I'm gonna go 4 inches high. So I'm gonna rip that toe kick piece right now at roughly 4 inches. I mean, could that be a cool thumbnail? So I've cut all the pieces, I ripped them, and I cut them to length. Most of them. Some of them I ran long because I haven't figured out where the sink's going, how big the sink is and stuff like that. And then I also cut the pieces for around the fridge. So I'm going to join most of these pieces together with a pocket hole. That's how I'll be fastening it to the wall. So when I'm moving the trailer, it's really going to connect to the wall. So I'm going to be using this tool for that. And then I also bought one of these things. It's kind of, you can't really see it, but it countersinks and it drills a hole. And that's going to give it a lot of extra strength when I join the pieces together. So right now what I'm doing is going through all the pieces, labeling them, so I have the best side showing to where I wanted to show. A lot of these pieces aren't going to be seen, so it really doesn't matter, but I'm kind of being a little stickler. So, you know, I found the bad side of these 2 sheets. Those will be the inside of the fridge, so the fridge will go inside of these. And I labeled where they're going, so that's going to be the fridge side. What? No, bar side, the top bar, fridge side, so that's the inside, top sink side, fridge. So if that makes any sense. The one that's going against the bar doesn't need any pocket holes because it's going to be screwed against that bar that I have there. The top piece, I put a lot of pocket holes in it. Now this piece will never be seen because it'll be underneath the refrigerator kinda. But these pocket holes right here on both sides will connect into those longer pieces, and then these 4 screws on the back edge right there will connect it into the wall, which will hold it there. Now on the sink side, this piece that's going towards the sink, I need to put pocket holes to connect it into my window frame as well as into the wall. So I'm going to do that right now, and I might give you a brief explanation, but please understand that this is the hardest project that I've ever had to film because I am running out of space. Minimal space happening. I mean, it's not bad, but when I put this piece up, it's going to be up here and you won't be able to see. We're dealing with it. I'm okay with it. I think it's impressive that I am managing to build these cabinets in literally 4 feet of space. So I've used this tool before in other videos, but it is the Porter cable, I can't remember, it's like 5 something. But it is basically the Craig jig. I think it's a lot better though. But not for this type of thing. This kind of sucks. Let's see how this works. This could potentially be probably a disaster. Then I'm going to put one every about 10 inches on the bottom of this section. I don't mean to sound like a commercial because this is not, but I've never owned the Craig jig, so I'm not sure what it's like. And I believe Bosch makes a version similar to this. But I don't have any problems with this thing. I actually really like it. It is big and bulky, but it does so much more, and I think it does a better job than what the Craig does. So that's it for pocket holes. I mean, I got to do all the pieces. I'm going to go through every single one. I'm trying to find that thing, but I can't find it. I was trying to find it quick, so I didn't have to do a jump cut, but now I'm going to have to do a jump cut because I didn't find it in time. Son of a bitch. So I'm basically just going to go through all those pieces and figure out where the pocket holes go. All three of these pieces that run up into the counter are going to get it in the top of it, as well as connected into that back wall. This one piece that goes on top, basically the countertop, not going to be the countertop, but I'm going to put some to connect it into the fridge piece. And then on the opposite end, I'm going to screw it down into it. And then I'll also be putting a couple screws down into these vertical pieces to give it some extra strength on all three of them. Might put some in from the side too. But that's about it. And then I got to do some other stuff down at the bottom, but that's irrelevant right now. So once all the pocket holes are done, I'm going to take these to the shop, clean them up with some mineral spirits, make sure I get off all this debris, put a second and final coat of General Finishes Armor Seal onto them, and then I'll most likely put a coat of their high performance top coat. It really makes it, it protects it and it gives it a good finish. I like it. So I'll probably do that. And then we'll come and screw them together and install them. Basically, it'll be done. It's really easy. I mean, this is easy. It's just making the video is making it hard. I think I said I could have done this in 2 hours, and I'm literally maybe an hour in on this project. Not really, though. I'm literally like 6 hours in on the video because I sit here and I ramble into the camera for hours. Hours. So much video doesn't make it into the video.